Hello everyone. My name is Shweta Gupta. I, I'm based out of Pune. This is in India. Uh, and currently I am working with Panchatantra Programming, and we founded this with the goal of taking creative coding to children largely through school curriculums. We have created project-based creative curriculums. And today, we are going to be looking at a, a workshop type of hour in which we are going to build along a project, and we'll have a lot of fun through this. I've also put down two polls, so if you all can just respond to it, it will help me to know, where we are, each of us, in our coding learning journey. If you can just jump onto the poll section. So if we look at learning any languages, um, of course, our first mother tongue, it we learn it just through the environment. The children, that's how we learn. We just observe and learn. But after that, it's always fun to use different methods to gain mastery. And when it comes to a secondary language, it's definitely much easier when there are interesting ways to pick it up, and really start to use it. I was just reading about the history of crossword game. It's one of the games which has really been over a century and really popular. So what we will do, we'll start this session with a very quick and simple crossword, and see that how our next going to the game which we're doing is not crossword, but just how sweetly it will evolve into a language learning fun game on Scratch. So quickly, if you all can just type on the chat, we'll start with the first off question. So it's across a place where people live, 5 letters. Quickly, you can type on the chat. Yep, an item with pages that you read. Thank you, Barbara, for getting us started. That is right. A fruit that keeps the doctor away. Thank you, Ruth, for getting us to the book. And we've got apple, of course, and the piece of furniture with a flat top and legs. Thank you, Holly. A liquid essential for life. Yes, that is water. And the last one to fill in, a plant with a trunk and branches. Yeah, Jay, we're sorry, missed that. Yeah. And the last one is tree. Yeah. So I think what really probably got crossword a long way is just, you take any level, but just simple questions with some response, and getting to see something filled up makes it interesting, exciting, and of course, there is a solution, and you can pretty much do it anywhere. So we are going to jump into creating a sweet little Scratch project, which can really apply for a framework, a building block for many language learning projects. And we can do it in any language of our choice, we will be with English today. So in this workshop, what we will look at is creating a coding project. It is going to be a little interactive. The project itself, of course, the session is totally interactive. We are going to combine language learning skills with coding, and we're going to introduce the audience to a little simple coding framework. So, of course, when we do this kind of game in a classroom setting with students, the best way is to do it offline first, like on paper, just within a group of students, because that gets clarity, that helps us to sit down and do a little bit of writing down what we need to do the game, and then we bring it on the scratch. Just because of the limitation of the time right now, we will kind of skip that, or maybe do a little bit of it. Let's see how that goes, right? So in this, what we're going to do, we're going to make a list of words, right? And we will keep it very simple. So whichever language you want to use for your game today, you can pick up some 5 commonly used words which are very easy to use in any sentence. Okay, so you can pick up words like that. So we'll start with it, and then create some maybe 3 to 4 questions, just simple questions, nothing to do. You don't need to try to match the words and the questions. You put down your words, put down your questions. And then we will also look at the coding blocks. So like we already said, we are going to use list. And fortunately, there is an exact map of list in Scratch. In most of the computing languages, there is something which maps of how we grew up making lists into Scratch. So we are going to use list for this. So let's get into the game preparation. So I have put down, in 2 languages, Hindi, that's my mother tongue, and English, my acquired language. So just simply in English, put down words like world, school, state, family, student, group, joyful, hand, place, night. You get the drift, just simple English words, which as we start learning a language, these other words, people will identify that. So you can do it in the language of your choice. And if you put it on the chat, it would be fun to know what are the kind of languages we are going with. So we'll give you a couple of minutes to do this, and you can type on the chat. I'm watching the chat to see if you can start posting that you're done and which language you're using. Javier is going with Spanish. Just a fun fact, very recently I learned a new Spanish word, semapores. I don't know if I'm pronouncing it right, but I thought it fit the description of just languishing around after a meal and chatting away so beautifully. I don't know if there's a word that fits that situation, which is so common globally, to just describe a situation like that. So, yeah. Anybody, any other language? If it is English, you can put that down also, so we know. Thank you, Saman. You're doing this in Urdu. Okay, so we will move to the next part of our preparation. We are going to put a list of questions. So go ahead and just put down what comes to you. You've got just a simple sample set, like what's your favorite food? What superpower would your superhero have? If you could fly, where would you go first? Or anything else? So maybe we can take another minute and just think of the questions. So it's okay even if you just have a couple of questions for now. So what we will do, we will jump into the Code Along project on Scratch with our young friend. She's called Aboli. She's one of the character sprites developed by one of our friends. And for this workshop, we are going to leverage on the low floors, wide walls, high ceilings. This is going to really fit into all of this. So we'll start with low floors, where we do have a base project for all of you, which you can just remix. So I'll just call out the project number for ease. If you scroll down, there's also the slides there. You can click on it directly. The project number on Scratch is 974084045. So you can open it and remix it. I'm also going to stop the slides and hop over to the Scratch project. So just give me a moment. I am putting the project link on the chat window. So once you all have the project remixed, we'll just come into the editor. So what we're going to do is look at the two lists which we discussed in our preparation phase. So we're going to have a list of words and we're going to have a list of questions. So for those who are very familiar with lists, you can just go ahead and start editing. But for those, if this is your starting project using lists, so what you do, you come to the block variable, you click on it, and you will see that first you have the variable where you create those single holder, values, variables. And then just below it, there's something called make a list. And that's all you will see in the project because for a new project where you don't have an existing list. But here, because you already have two lists created, you will see the name of the list and you'll see many new blocks which open up to work on lists. So, fortunately, list is one kind of data structure which really maps very easily to real life and it's very easy to understand that when you're adding to it, when you're deleting it to it, when you're inserting some in the middle, when you want to just kind of see what index it is. So in Scratch it starts with index number 1, so you can just go 1 2 3 4. So that is how comfortable list is. Now here, just click on list of words. So if you click on the box, what you will see is the list will come up on the right display and it has some words listed there. It has around 8 words listed there. So what you can do is you can change them as you want. Uh, in keeping the language as English, you can change the words, or you can just change it to the words in the language you have chosen for doing the project today. Jaber is asking, is the list same like stacks? Well, it's more like arrays where you can just access an individual item very easily. So it's more like an array if you want to map it to other programming languages. Yep. So you can just click on it like, if instead of very, if I wanted another word, let's call it another. So I just replaced it. So that's all, you can just click on it and change the words you want. And similarly, there is another list of questions. So when you click on that, it will show up and then you can just add questions to it. So how do you like your day? So you can just add questions like that. Once you have done this, this is like an administrative task. So once done, you can just remove the tick marks against the list so that it disappears from the screen. We don't want the player playing the game to keep seeing the list. That is for us to prepare. Now what we've got is a few buttons here. So the play game button is really what we are going to be starting with. So when this sprite is clicked, the play game sprite, what we are doing just to make sure when we start the game for hygiene purposes, we're just making sure we hide the list so that we don't mess with our screen. We are hiding both the lists. So there's something called hide list. Just like there's something called hide variable, similarly hide list. So we are hiding both the lists. And then we're just starting the game by broadcasting play game. Yeah, that's all we are doing here on the play game button. And the actual game, we are having our young friend Aboli play. So we come to Dia or Aboli. She's got 2 names. So when we come here, then when she receives play game, what is the first thing she's going to do is she's going to select the word for the game today. She's going to make a selection, one word from the list of words. So this is something which you're doing offline. Once you have children create the list, you can just ask one children to say that now select one word out of this list. And that's exactly what we will do in the code. So what we're going to do is we are going to take multiple blocks here. Now, the first block we are using is the block where we are picking random. Randomly, we are picking up one word from the list of words. Okay, so pick random length of words. Now, when we are picking random, We are telling it, you pick it up from the first word to the entire length of list of words. So if our list is of say 10 words, it will pick up dynamically any of that between 1 to 10. If it is 20, if the list is of 20 words, it will pick up dynamically between 1 to 20. So we're going to pick up one of that. So it's just picking up a number here. And now what it will do, it will pick up the word, the actual word on that list number. So if the list is numbered 1 to 20, say by randomly it picks up the sixth word. So how will we know what is the sixth word? So for the list is a very simple way. It gives item X of list of words. Now what is this X? Is this pick random. So if it has picked up the sixth one, it will say item number 6 from this list. And now that sixth item is picked up, we want to set it to a variable so that we can use it as we like. So we have created a variable, a simple variable called word here, and we are using set word and we are picking it up. So with this, every time you click, you will see, and it's a different word is being picked up from that list. And where do you see it? You can see it here because I've clicked on the tick button for word. That means the variable is being displayed on the screen. And we do want to display because we want the player who's playing this to actually use this word as they answer to our question. So the first thing we have done, we have selected a word from the list and displayed it to the user. Now, once this is done, we want to show us one question after the other coming up. Once the question comes up, the instructions in this game is that you have to answer to the question by forcefully using this word. That's the game. So example is, if the word is without, and if the question is, how do you want your day today? The answer needs to be a variation of using the word without. So for example, we can say, I want my day without going hungry. Or one can say, without wasting any moment, I want my day to go smooth. So there are multiple ways we can answer to the question by using the word. And this is where we can see that what complexity of word and questions we have created and how we want our people playing the game to use it. Do let me know. You can put on the chat if you want me to repeat something, if you want to explain something, if you want me to go slow or fast, whatever it is. Feel free to set the pace. So after we have selected the word, we are attaching it here. And now we are starting with question. So before, we're just taking a variable saying that this is you're starting your questions with 0. So we're just setting it up, the variable. It's not doing anything right now. And then what we do is we are going to say what is the word which we have selected. So we are using simple operators where we're using the join operator to say which word we have selected. So we are saying we have selected the word, and whatever word we have selected, it's in the variable word for you. So if I click on this, what it is displaying is we have selected the word without for you. So this is going to be set. It will also show it on the screen, which is already visible, but this is just double making sure that the word is shown. And now we start showing the question. So here we want to show 5 questions. So we are using the repeat loop of 5 to show the question, and then the next question and next question and next question, and we are also changing the question number here. right? Are we okay till here? We are going to look at the code of how are we going to show the question, because that's the next bit here. It will be helpful if somebody can also respond in the chat, but if you all are busy on the projects and you want to switch windows, that's great too. As far as you can, hear me and you're walking along, we are good to go. Okay, so now in the show question, what we're going to do, it's very similar to what we learned in selecting a word. So we are just going to repeat those steps, and it's very, very good to have projects created by children in which you repeat certain things so that, first time they kind of learn, and second time you repeat and you apply, right? So here, to show the question, we are using one of the blocks so that, the code inside here is nice and neat. You're just showing the question 5 times, but you do have a show question block. So we've made a block here which says show question. And inside the show question, what we're doing is we are going to first announce that you have which question number coming up. So it's a simple say sentence. Again, by joining, saying question number, we have the question number being passed to the block. Remember, we were storing the question number in one of the variables here, question number. So we just announce which question number coming up. And then we pick up the question from the list of questions, just the way we did the word. So pick random between 1 to the length of list of questions. We pick it up. Once we pick up randomly the number, we pick up the actual question by using the item method on list, and then we set it to the question text. So if I just click on this one long line, you will see, and I'm going to put the question text on so you can see it. So you will just be able to see it pick up the question. Right now we just have one, so it's the same question which is popping up for us. So once we pick up the question, we have this interesting line of code. You don't have to introduce it right away. It's fine. It's just the reason we are, after we are picking up that question, we are deleting it from our list of questions, because we don't want the same question to keep coming up again and again and bore the player. So we want only one question to come up. Okay, there are multiple ways of doing this. This is the simplest way of doing it. We just get rid of the question altogether. So it's like, if in the manual list, we just read the question and we strike it through so that we don't redo the question. So now we have the question selected from the list and we have it stored in the question text. So now what we're going to do is we are going to ask the question and we want the user to actually reply. So in Scratch, we use the sensing block to ask and answer. These are the two complementary blocks which are used when you want to interface with user in Scratch. You ask and you read the answer. So we are using ask here. So for now, don't look at this block. We're going to come to that. So what we're going to do, we are going to ask the question and wait. And once we ask, we are going to wait to read the answer in this answer variable. And we will set it to another variable called answer text. So once we have read the answer which the user has written, we are going to, here we are speaking out the answer. You can decide how you want to do it. And after that, it is up to us to see what kind of validation check we do. So the simplest validation we can do is if the answer contains the word which is shown, because that's what our basic game is about, that as when you answer, your answer must contain the word shown. So how do we do that? Right, remember, we already have the word, the selected word, in our variable word. We have the answer text in the variable answer text. Okay, and now we are going to use simple operators for which work on text string, like contains. So we are checking if the answer contains the word. Okay, that is the first one. And because we want to see it's a sentence and the person is just not answering with the one word, we're also saying the length of the total answer text is greater than 15. Now, this is something which is completely, wide and high ceiling. You can really complicate the check as much as you want. But this is the first basic check we are saying. And if this condition meets, we are saying that, you're doing well, you continue. If not, we are saying, please use the selected word and make a longer sentence. Okay. So how do you like your day? So I say, without any qualms is how I like my day.
Without any qualms is how I like my day. Good going.
So here, because I match my checking validation, I get to go ahead and continue. But if I did not, how do I like a day? I like. That's all I've written.
I like. Please use the selected word without and make a longer sentence.
So what it is saying is that I have not met the rule of the game and I must use the word without, and it must be longer sentence, right? So it says that. Now when it says that, we can just leave it at that. But if we want to do next level of coding, we can enforce that this question is repeated until we don't get a proper answer. And that is where we're going to use this condition. It's a condition. So it comes under the control coding block, which is repeat until. So basically, the code which we put inside this, that is going to be repeated. That is going to be repeated until it meets the condition here, which is listed just next to repeat until. This condition is met, then it comes out of this block. Otherwise, it keeps executing the code which we put inside this block. I'm putting this code inside this block, and then now when we repeat this, how do you like a day? Just about okay.
Okay, please use the selected word without and make a longer sentence.
Yeah, and then it is asking again, how do you like your day? So it will keep doing this until I like my day without any fuss.
I like my day without any fuss. Good going.
Yeah, now it is happy, so it won't display again, and this question is answered. So once it is done with this, it will go into this repeat and it will show the next question. Once I've finished with 5 questions, I can just end the game how I want. So here, just broadcasting thank you so that it can just show some end slide and say whatever we want. So I'm going to stop sharing here and go back to the slides. And what we will do, we have kept sufficient time. So I'll just walk you through the slides so that you also have reference to that and to us here. so that you can complete your code and you can ask questions, and the ones who have done it already, you can expand to it. Yeah. Of course, most of the code is hanging around in your project. So if you just look around, you will be able to use it, but use it in small pieces so that you can follow it through. So on the slides, it's we have said what is a list. So if you want to use this as a lesson plan, you can use a lot of portion of it and then expand on it as you like. So if you want to explain, is it similar to the list that we keep when you're working with children? So, definitely make them write down a shopping list and work with it, have them add an item, delete an item, insert an item, say which item number is on number 10. So, once you go through this, with a physical list they create, it's very easy to map it onto the different coding blocks for lists. You find it very, very easy for children to learn. Initially, it can get a little complex for children, but if you make them walk through a physical list and then make them do the same operations on this, you'll see that it gets easier and easier. You can make them do invitation lists, you can make them do tasks. So these are simple examples which are very familiar, and of course we ask the children what kind of different lists they make, and I'm sure you'll come up with many, many more creative ones. So how to create a list, just a recap. So if there is no list in the project already, you will not see the list block. So you scroll down, and the moment you make your first list, the blocks will appear below it. So we've got a base project for you all to remix, and then you can work on the words and the questions. And in terms of the algorithm, so what we did, we selected a word from the list of words by using the random operator. Then we picked up the actual word using the list item, and we showed the word, and then start to show the questions. We want to show 5 questions. So show the question by picking up a random question from the list. Then they could read the answer, and then you validate the answer. This validation can start with very basic check and then slowly expand to much more complex checks. If the answer does not match a criteria, ask user to answer again. So that is like the basic project, and then you can move on to expand the project. I see a couple of comments. I'll just come back to them after we look at just a couple of more things. So how do we expand the projects? For example, of course, you can have multiple versions based on the efficiency of the language, the level of the language children are learning. Simple beginner level words, intermediate level words, advanced level words. You can even have 3 lists, and slowly children can even choose what efficiency they want to play with. Or when they're making the project, how much gamification they want to bring in. Coding to check the answer and the correctness is a lot fun, because you can start with just basic required work check, but then you can play with the kind of length check you want to do. Then you can get it a little more advanced. For example, subject work, a verb agreement, if you want to make sure that's what you're teaching in the class right now. So you can kind of see what kind of language adherence you want to add in the project. You can also add code to, like, instead of 1 word, you can have 2 words which must be used, or the answer should be given in 2 ways. It should be really long. And then, of course, this kind of project and learning, you can really brainstorm and then come up with different creative ideas. Sheila has written, students could remix and use it as a test review for many subjects. Oh yes, absolutely. I think that's what we're talking about here. And then you can use it for math, geography, whichever subject of your choice. Someone is saying it's great, a bit overwhelming at first, but you've definitely introduced a creative way to teach language to secondary school children. Yes, Haman. So it is a bit overwhelming because we are not doing it as many pieces as would we would like to do with in a class environment, in this kind of workshop environment. Just trying to see that we go through the entire framework and then you have the time. But if we play the game first and then we just look at the list and slowly build up and keep testing it out, instead of just kind of getting the whole thing together. That would be the right approach. I totally agree. That we don't want it to be overwhelming. I did think if we should keep it a little simpler, but then I did want to make sure that we have the opportunity to look at all the three aspects, so that based on the different skills the group brings in, can adopt accordingly. Yeah. And similarly, at panchandraprogramming.com, we have a lot of these kind of different integrated projects, which one can kind of take in and build upon. So I'll put in the link, so you can definitely see which ones you want to adopt as part of your, uh, you know, classwork or curriculum or secondary work, whichever way. So do let me know. We can hop into the project. I can share the code so that you can code along. You have another 20 minutes to do that. And please share. And if some of you would like to share and have us play in a language which you would want, we don't know if we can do that. If there are other people familiar with the same language, we can even do that, right? So I'm going to just share back the screen. And we are open to questions, but please feel free to use this time to code along and show us. You can share your projects links also. Thank you, Maya. I think I was logged off for a moment, and you're most welcome for your comments. So I will post this link here. So we've got project-based learning projects. So for the level 1, we've got projects like the first project is exploring operators and creating a 6-digit OTP. So there is a lesson plan and worksheet. It introduces children to think of what a one-time password is, how it is generated, how to do it, uh, in Scratch. So it's a real fun first project to start with. And then the next one is about phases of flight. So it introduces you to motion, gliding, and XY coordinates in a big way. So all of these have lesson plan and worksheets attached. Uh, the next one introduces us to sensors, where you're trying to save elephant from a train running through a jungle. And then you have a very relevant to children, train the honey robo for cleaning up your rooms. So your children get introduced to using different keys, and then using broadcast to act based on that keys. So yeah, I'm pasting this link. Thank you everyone for joining, and hope you enjoyed. Look forward to keeping interactive. My email ID is on the slide deck. Thank you. Bye-bye.